Hey, welcome to our guide to home buying. This is just like a overview of each step, not really gone into so much detail that it'll make your head spin like the lady and gentleman here on this page. All we want to do is kind of give you a brief overview with enough information that you kind of feel like you have a good idea of what you're getting yourself into. We don't want you to go through this process kind of like you're blind or we're just dragging you through it. We want you to make an educated, informed decision. We want you to understand the power that you hold as a homeowner, the perks of being a homeowner, and just kind of some of the stuff that you'll go through and the people that you'll be involved with throughout this home buying process. So, like the text says, the purpose of this guide is just to help you gain an understanding what steps you will take to get the home buying process started. And I need to add finish because once we start this, we want to make sure we see you through to the end and you see a sold sign in front of your new house. So, just to kind of go over some of the people that you will encounter throughout this process, we have the seller, of course. Most people know who the seller is. They have a big sign in front of their yard. They're one of the many real estate companies that are working in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, Texas, Florida, and other markets that we work in. They have a big sign in front of the yard. It lets you know that their home is for sale, or you saw it on Zillow, you saw it on a realty website, you saw it on Realtor.com. The seller is pretty easy to know. In this case, we're doing a home buyer orientation. You would be the buyer. You're the person looking to find a new home. And typically, you're just looking for information on where to get started so that you can take the proper steps to get into the home. Number one, to see it, get the financing for the home, and make your way to closing. So we have the loan officer highlighted. I would say besides yourself, they're the most important person in this process because without the money, there's really no way that we can even get to the finish line. So we got to have that money. So here at GID Realty, we will give you our lending resources to kind of help pair you with the right lender to get you into the home that you're looking for. We have, I would say, maybe 3 to 4 close-knit loan officers that we work with that offer similar products but different products, and each person is a little bit different. So kind of based off of the information that we gather from you, we'll give you a couple of choices on lenders that you can work with so you don't have to worry about that. We have escrow officers. The escrow officer is the person who works at the title company. This is kind of like the face of the title company. There's a lot of moving parts with the title company, but basically you see the escrow officer twice. You're going to drop off an earnest money check to them, which we'll talk about that in a little bit, and you're going to sign all your paperwork at the end of this deal with the escrow officer. On our team, we have a transaction coordinator. The transaction coordinator for myself, her name is Kelly. I hate doing paperwork. I hate trying to keep up with paperwork. We have a lot of paperwork in real estate, so Kelly helps me stay on top of everything. So we make sure that we're protecting your money. We make sure that we're getting everything signed in an orderly and timely fashion because these contracts are bound by law. So we have to make sure that we're on top of everything and that you as the buyer know everything that you're signing. So if you don't get it, you can let Kelly or myself know. We're both licensed agents and we'll make sure that you get all the information that you need. So number 5, once you get a house under contract, it is not required. But if you don't hire an inspector, I'm going to make you sign a waiver, just kind of waiving us of liability for having somebody check the house. So if you decide, hey, I don't want to hire an inspector, the house looks perfect and beautiful, and then you move into it and find out that they had termites or something like that. Well, the inspector's job is to go out and take a look at the house beyond just the paint, beyond the furniture, beyond everything that we can see. They really look into this home to make sure that you're buying a good investment, because that's what it is. The appraiser works on behalf of the bank. I don't want to just say the bank. They work on behalf of you and the bank. they're kind of like the checks and balance. So if we find a house, we say, hey, this house is for sale on the market for $200,000. We want to offer $200,000 on it. The bank, the loan officer that you work with, typically they don't even get to see your house besides the numbers of it. The appraiser actually goes out on the bank's behalf and on your behalf to take a look at the property to make sure that it is worth what we're offering on it. It could come back that the house is only worth $190,000. Well, you wouldn't want to spend $200,000 on a house that's only worth $190,000. So this is where the appraiser would come in. They would talk to the bank and say, hey, bank, the house is selling for way more. They got it under contract for way more than what it's actually worth. They need to go back and renegotiate it because it's not a good investment for you, bank. So if the bank is not making any money, if it's not a good investment with them, they're not going to lend you the money, which is great. On the flip side, if the house is worth $210,000, the bank is even more ready to give you the money because they know that you're moving into a good investment and you have equity going into the property. So we wouldn't want to tell the seller, hey, your house is actually worth more than what you wanted to sell it to us for. Let's renegotiate it. No, you just move in and take that equity as is. 7, we got the realtor. And that is myself, the other realtors on the team. The easiest way to tell you what a realtor does, everybody knows that we can open up houses and find houses for you, but it goes a lot deeper than that. We protect your money and we help you form your deal. Most people don't know any other people, but maybe a loan officer or a realtor when they're getting ready to buy a house. So we'll help you get all the contacts that are vital to you getting from point A to point B in your transaction. And then a home warranty rep, they provide coverage from your home appliances. We should have added sprinkler systems, everything except for the foundation and roof of your home. The home warranty can cover. So hopefully that is kind of gives you a glimpse of what all the parties are that you'll be working with throughout this transaction, what they do. And if you got any questions, like I said, feel free. You can respond to this email, shoot me a text. Phone number is 817-935-0131. So as we talked about, the first step really in buying a home, once you make the decision to buy a home, is to get your pre-approval. Because without the money, there's really nothing you can do. It's just like you're hoping, you're wishing, you're wanting. But we really can't say that you can buy a house without knowing what type of loan you have, how much you're approved for, and then how the realtor needs to structure the deal. So the first thing that I tell everybody, hey, if you come in contact with a realtor, a real solid, good realtor is going to point you into the direction of a loan officer. A loan officer will help us tell you, okay, hey, you're approved for an FHA loan. These are the type of houses that the FHA loan will allow you to buy. This is what your payment would be, and this is what you need to do to get from point A to point B to point C, which would be the closing table. So maybe just to build our relationship or to start it off, maybe we met at a property, but that was just so that we could put a face to a name. But really looking at houses without having the ability to buy a house is kind of pointless, because by the time that you get everything ready and together, if you find a house that you like, the house may be gone, and it was all due to us not taking a day to do what we had to do to get a pre-approval, because houses go extremely quick, especially when you found the perfect one and it's the one that you want. Some people are worried and nervous that, hey, I want to try to apply. I don't know what my credit score is. I'm worried about it. What do I need to do? So we have a company that we work with. We actually have a couple of different ones. The preferred one, I would say, is She Builds Credit. It's based out of Houston, Texas. A lady named Tempest Ellis. She's the owner of it. She can get you a credit repair plan put together. Typically, it's about $800. If you're doing something as a couple, she'll definitely work with you, especially for us sending you. So just let her know that, hey, Jeff Perkins referred me. If you need her information, I can share that with you. It's not a big deal. If you go through this service, we actually give you $500 back at your closing, so you actually only pay $299 for your credit repair. But we want you to have the skin in the game. I don't want you to get your credit fixed and then run off with somebody else. So if this is something that you want to take advantage of or something that you want to do, you need more information. Again, my number is 817-935-0131. Give me a call. Everybody's favorite part. Everybody always wants to know, how much money do I need to buy a house? If you're a first-time buyer, you want to use the first-time home buyer grant, you qualify for it. If your house is, I would say, less than $300,000, you really only need about $5,000, maybe $5,500 total to get into a home. The average house is about $250,000. I would say anywhere from $3,500 to maybe $4,200. It really depends on your situation. The lender will let us know for sure how much money you need, but this is just all in general. And I tell everybody, hey, if you can save up between $3,000 to $5,000, we can help you get into a home. The biggest chunk of money that you're going to need is the earnest money. So the earnest money is typically 1% of the price of the home. So if the house is $250,000, you're going to need $2,500. That money goes towards your cost or your cash to close at the end of the deal. This money is not just something that you put up and, maybe it goes towards the end of the deal. Maybe it doesn't. It does go towards your cash to close at the end of the deal. So if you needed $5,000 to close, typically they'll say, okay, hey, you've already paid $2,500 in earnest money. Now you just owe an additional $2,500 and you will be a homeowner. The rules with the earnest money, and this is where Kelly comes into place, I come into place. You need to have the earnest money ready to go, because when you purchase a home, everybody signs off on it. The contract is binding and legal. You got 72 hours from the date that you signed it to turn in the earnest money, or the seller can cancel your contract. That means you would no longer be tied in an agreement with the seller to move forward on buying the house. You kind of gave up your rights as a buyer because you didn't follow the contract. So it's very important that before you even get started on looking at houses, that you got your financing in order, because the buyer has pretty much all of the control throughout this process unless we don't perform to the contract. If we don't perform to the contract, that's when we lose control. And we don't ever want to lose control as the buyer, because when you're in control, you kind of run everything. So that's why the seller has to be selective on who they work with, who they pick, because as soon as they sign that contract, they really don't have many outs to get out of your contract. So the earnest money, you turn that in to the escrow officer or the title company. Typically, they'll give you a FedEx label. You just drop it off in the mail, send it off. They'll give us a receipt for it. Everybody will know that, hey, the buyer did what they were supposed to do. Now we're moving forward. Typically, we're going to buy option. There are certain cases where, being up to date on what's going on with the real estate market, how the contracts have changed. Sometimes you may not need an option period, but just for the sake of this, we're going to go through it. Let's say we need an option period. We would purchase an option period, which would typically be between 5 to 7 days, where you can hire an inspector to come out and take a look at that property. The option period is typically $100 to maybe $250. Just depends on the price of the house. And what you're doing is you're buying yourself the ability to say, hey, if for any reason I want to back out of this contract, I can back out. And the only thing that I will lose is my option money, because I'm paying for the ability to jump out of this contract at any given moment, any given time, through the specified days that we have set in the contract. And you would get your earnest money back. The earnest money was $2,500 in our example. You paid $100. Would you rather lose $100 to recover the $2,500, or would you, want to leave both of them exposed? You definitely don't want to do that. Had to give me something to drink real quick. But the option money, you turn that in. It goes to the seller. And if you do purchase a home, the option money would go towards your cash to close as well too. So you're not going to lose any of that money either, unless you back out of the contract. The inspection cost. The inspector, you hire them to come take a look at the house from the roof, HVAC, plumbing, foundation, everything in between. They are going to spend about 3 to 4 hours at this house, visually inspecting it to make sure that everything is what it appears to be. I can take you into a house and I can see stuff that, hey, you know what, this doesn't quite look right. We may want to get somebody to take a look at it, but I can't tell you what the code is for your electrical box. Even though I go out and look at houses all day, every day, that stuff changes every single year. And I just figured, hey, I'll just be the best realtor in all these real estate contracts than trying to know what the inspector codes are, what the city of Fort Worth's code is, what the city of Dallas's code is. We just leave that up to the inspector. They go through, they give you a typically between a 50 to 80 page report on the property. And then at that time, we'll negotiate anything that is wrong with the property. The air conditioner isn't cooling how it's supposed to. Sprinklers aren't working. The roof is damaged. The foundation is not how we thought it would be. If any of these things are too much for you and you don't trust the seller to fix it, we just back out. And the only money that you would lose is the cost of inspecting the property, which would be probably on average about $400, and then the option money. That's way better than buying a house for $200,000 and then finding out that, dang, I need to spend $10,000 worth of upgrades to get this house to actually be livable, to be comfortable for me and my family. So it's definitely worth it to get that option period and to hire an inspector. Like I said, it's optional. If you don't hire one, I'm definitely going to sign this form telling you that I told you about inspectors and that you're waiving me of any liability. Like, I'm not trying to get you to get a piece of crap house. I want you to actually know what you're getting. Once we go through 1, 2, and 3, we'll get with the bank, tell them that, hey, we're moving through with the property and we just need to get the appraiser out. There's nothing that you really do here. Just once the bank knows that you're moving forward, they'll hire an appraisal. The appraisal will come out and you'll see a charge typically at your closing table. That'll say $400, $425, $450, whatever the price is for an appraisal. That's really all the money that you'll spend up until you get to the closing table. Sometimes this is all the money you'll spend and you'll get a little bit of money back. It really just depends on how we can structure the deal. But I tell everybody, hey, just on the safe side, $3 to $5 grand, we should be able to get you into a house with down payment assistance. And the down payment assistance is the first time home buyer grant. There's certain qualifications that you have to have for it. So if there's something that you don't qualify for, but you qualify for something else, the loan officer will let you know at that time, because we're just going off of the average or the typical customer that we work with. So the realtor, a lot of people always ask me if I can look up all the houses on the internet. Do we still need a realtor? What does a realtor actually do besides show houses? We can see all the houses online. Like, what do you do? Well, I tell people the easiest way to put it, without kind of going through everything that we do and all the knowledge that we've kind of gained over the years, is we protect your money. So you don't want to be exposed of losing your earnest money or being forced into buying a home that you don't want. And if you're not paying attention and you're not doing your due diligence, that's exactly what can happen. We make sure we get you with the right lender so that you don't go through this process and get to the end and lose your earnest money because they didn't do a thorough investigation on your finances, making sure that, okay, hey, you said you worked 2 jobs, but you've only been working at one of those jobs for 2 or 3 months just to save up money to get into the house. And then we have debt to income issues when it comes down to you going into underwriting. We protect you from the start. So the simplest way to look at it, besides just being like your resource center for everything that you're going through with this process, just look at it as I'm the person who protects your money. So anything that we can do to protect your money, to make sure that you can get from, hey, I exposed the least amount of money to I'm getting my keys, that's what we do. We also show you homes, of course. We can work with new builds and pre-owned homes. So any questions or anything, I don't want to kind of make it too long and get stuck on exactly everything that everybody does, but just know the realtor protects me and my money, which is most people's most important thing through this process. The loan officer, they're the person with the money. When you go through the process of applying, they're going to want your social security number, your ID, a couple paycheck stubs, a couple bank statements, W-2s, 1099s. They're going to need all of this information from you because they're getting ready to give you a couple $100,000 to buy a house. A lot of people don't feel comfortable with the way that everything is online. We have a couple of lenders that you can actually come into and drop this stuff off to, but pretty much everything is going to be online because it makes everything faster for them and for you, and they can share everything with you. Everybody's kind of on the same page. So just know up front, you're going to have to give over sensitive private information to whichever lender we decide to work with. Just know that. I don't really like to go through the lender part. I kind of had a lender brief over this just to make sure I wouldn't say anything that would get us in trouble, because I'm not a lender. I don't have that license. So we'll send you a handout that kind of talks about everything that they'll do, but you'll typically spend majority of your time talking to the lender once you get under contract, because they're going through everything financially just to make sure that everything is prepared for underwriting. I'm pretty sure you heard me take that drink of water. This is more than what I typically talk because most of the time people are asking me questions. So the title company, a lot of people wonder, hey, what do they do? Besides, I see people doing the little boomerang dance. There's a key or something, and, all that good stuff. The easiest way to put what they do, they protect your rights as the homeowner from anybody taking your property, and they protect you from the beginning of time to the date that you owned it from anything that the previous owners may have done. So if they give you a clear title, they're going to give you an owner title policy, and the owner title policy will protect you and your property from, hey, we needed to get the roof fixed because the buyer didn't want to buy it. Let's get the roof fixed. We'll pay the roofer half the money, and then we'll run off. Typically, a roofer wouldn't come in and scrape off half your roof because you only pay for half of it. They would typically put a lien against the property. So if that was something that was to happen, the owner title policy that you have would protect you because that's something that you didn't do, and it didn't happen when you had ownership of the property. So they would basically get that lien information over to the correct person. So that is pretty much it. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me or any members of our team. All the information to contact us is below. The @Get It Done Realty is for social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I believe a Twitter is coming soon. The 817-252-4280 is our office number. And the info@GID Realty is our team email address. So anything that you need, feel free to give me a call, 817-935-0131. Can't wait to start shopping with you, and congrats on taking the first steps on buying your first new home.